As someone who's read my fair share of romance books over the years, I feel like it's not a completely uncommon experience to feel like they all start to blur together at some point. And I know that I've definitely read books where I'm reading it and I'm like, I swear I've read this before, this plot feels so familiar. And I'm not knocking it because, I will read like a single dad nanny book to the ground. I'll read 5 of them that feel like the exact same book. That's my preference. And I'm not at all knocking on these tropes, okay? Like a good brother's best friend and enemies to lovers, like that'll do it for me every time. So don't think that I'm saying we should just get rid of all of these books that have these classic tropes because they're classic for a reason. However, I was inspired after reading a couple books that started to feel like it was the same book to put together a list of some books that have plots that I feel like were very fresh and something that I'd never read before. Some of these books do include those classic tropes that we love, but there's something about the plot that drew me in beyond those tropes that feels very fresh and new. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. Let's get straight into it. First book on my list is If You Stayed by Brittany C. Cherry. This book follows Gabriel and Kiera. This is a second chance romance, but it has a twist that I've really never read before. This book starts off and it's a classic childhood friends to lovers story. However, when Gabriel and Kiera are in their teens, they're in a tragic accident that leaves Gabriel with some lasting injuries, including memory loss, okay? And so this accident happens, his mother becomes very protective and kind of isolates him from everything he's known to try and help his healing process. So him and Kiera lose touch, and that's really heartbreaking for her. This is like the love of her life. He doesn't remember her, and now she doesn't even get to be around him. So it's very, very life-changing for both of them. Kiera ends up growing up, getting married, having a child. This is a very loveless marriage that she's in. The only good thing about it is the fact that she has her daughter. Her husband is very wealthy, and they're building a new house. And who comes along as the new architect for their house besides her childhood lover, Gabriel? Obviously still not remembering her, but she clearly remembers him, and this is the first time she's seeing him in years. So obviously that stirs up a lot of mixed emotions. She has to interact with him, acting like she doesn't know him. She swore as a teenager that she wouldn't interfere and she wouldn't tell him who she was or remind him of anything from their past. But obviously this brings up so many emotions and feelings, and them now having to interact with each other on a daily basis definitely causes a little bit of a spiral for her. And then he's also dealing with these feelings of like, she seems really familiar, but I don't know why. Guys, I absolutely loved this story. The premise alone just drew me in immediately. I sat on my couch and I did not stop until I finished this book. So it was definitely a quick read. I loved it so much. I loved the chemistry between these two characters despite everything that had happened in their past. It just progresses so beautifully. I highly recommend it. Next up on my list is Can I Tell You Something by Holly June Smith. This book follows Hannah and Cameron. So Cameron is an erotic audio worker. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of like the Quinn app or anything adjacent to that, but it's where men basically record themselves talking, doing other stuff, just whatever, and then people listen to it and they pay for it, and it's a thing and people do it and they make money. So that's Cameron's job. Hannah happens to be a subscriber of his and a massive fan, listens to every single one of his audios and is obsessed with him, knows him by voice, right? But she doesn't know him in real life. These characters find themselves together when Hannah and her family are going on a winter ski trip, and her brother shows up with his new best friend, who just happens to be Cameron. Obviously, Cameron doesn't use his real name on this website, but Hannah is a big fan, okay? She recognizes his voice immediately. So she's completely stunned, doesn't know what to do. She's like blushing every time she talks to him. He's like, why is she being weird? The story kind of unfolds after that. This is such a fun one. This is actually a novella also, so it is shorter. There's a second novella that follows her brother, so you can read both or just read this one. I found this premise to just be so funny, especially because I'm aware of what Quinn is and what erotic audio is, so just the idea of this happening to someone in real life is so funny. This was a very amusing story, and just trying to see Hannah navigate the situation and figure out what to do, it was pretty hilarious, so I really liked it. Cameron is quite the charmer. Highly, highly recommend this one. Next up, we have The Frat Boy by Nikki Sloan. This is a part of her larger Nashville Neighbors series, but it can be read completely as a standalone. It really doesn't connect to the other books whatsoever. And this book follows Colin and Madison. Colin and Madison go to the same college, and they are both a part of Greek life. He's in a fraternity and she's in a sorority. There ends up being this big Greek life event that happens, and it ends up going haywire. They both get blamed on their own ends for it and kicked out of their school housing. Both of them, with zero prospects and nowhere to live, end up stumbling across this ad to work for an adult film agency where you get housing included. And they both randomly stumble upon the ad separately. And when they both show up to do their auditions, they are presented with each other and are told, okay, you guys can do your audition together, your video audition in front of us. And they obviously have a lot of animosity towards each other. They hate each other because of this whole Greek life mix-up that happened, but they both need this really bad and they don't want to be the one to back out, so they agree to do their audition together. They end up having this like exploding, unimaginable chemistry together. And the story kind of takes place from there of them both living in this house and doing adult film together. So this one's a little bit salacious, it's a little crazy, but I really loved this plot. I thought it was so fun just seeing how they navigate the situations together, how they end up working together, and I really love the characters in this book. I feel like Madison and Colin, while they butt heads at first, they end up really bringing out the best in each other, and I loved kind of seeing them in that environment and how they navigate everything. So highly, highly recommend this book. I love this whole series, and like I said, most of the books aren't very connected, so you can kind of read them as you please, but a lot of them have really good and unique plots, so highly recommend. Next book on my list is one of my all-time favorites. It's called Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. Now this book definitely does need a trigger warning. It's one of the darker books I've read, and it does include assault and sexual assault, so just trigger warning for that. Definitely go read up on her website on like specific things if you are curious, but keep that in mind going into this story. It's definitely not an easy breezy book by any means. This book follows a girl named Cora who ends up getting abducted at her sister's birthday party with none other than her sister's fiance, who she literally cannot stand. They're both constantly at each other's throats, always arguing, always playing impractical jokes on each other. They don't like each other. They end up getting kidnapped together when he's giving her a ride back to the hotel, and they end up in this man's basement together, chained, and they have no way of escaping. So when I said dark, this is definitely dark, but seeing how they end up having to work together in this basement and how they have to communicate with each other after just not being fans of each other for the longest time, it was really interesting. This book kept me on my toes, and obviously there's a very forbidden aspect of it. This is her sister's fiance. It's a whole thing. This book is definitely a heavier choice for me. I tend to lend myself to more upbeat, happy stories. This does have a happy ending, but it's a really long way to get there. It's very, very dark at times. It just hits you right in the chest, but I love this story. I love the characters, and I just can't recommend it enough. If it sounds like something that is suitable for you, obviously don't trigger yourself with these kinds of books if it's something you don't think you can handle, but if it is, I highly, highly recommend it. I thought it was fantastic. Ending on more of a light choice, my last book for this video is called Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. This was a super fun one. This follows Wells and Josephine. Wells is a famous golf player, and Josephine is his #1 fan. She's obsessed with him. She goes to every single one of his tournaments. She's always on the sidelines cheering, and it annoys him to no end. He actually can't really stand her, even though she's obviously there to support him. But when his game starts to go haywire and he's not doing so well in the sport anymore, he considers quitting. That's until he has a conversation with his #1 fan, Josephine, who convinces him that he just needs to give this one more try. And in fact, she'll be his caddy, and he'll go back into this competition, and they're gonna win, and they're gonna split the prize money because she needs money for something, he needs her as a good luck charm, and I don't know why he agrees, but he does, and they end up on this journey together doing these golf tournaments, and this was just such a fun book. I know that people have mixed thoughts on Tessa Bailey in general. I feel like some of her books are a little goofy. This one definitely included, okay? I'm not saying this is the best book I've ever read, but it was so much fun, and not for nothing, but I'm definitely a fangirl myself at heart. So I really get Josephine on that level. I understand her. So this was a really fun one. Again, this is definitely more of a light, quick, fun read, but I really enjoyed it for what it was. And this was a plot that I've definitely never read before. Those are my recs for uncommon plots in romance books. If you guys have any that sound like these books that I need to read, let me know. Or if you have any other uncommon plot romance books that you think I should add to my TBR, definitely tell me in a comment down below. I'm also very open to doing a part 2 of this. I'm planning on reverting back to some OG tropes though, because I know you guys have been asking, so I'll definitely have more trope videos up in the future. But as always, I hope you guys found a new book to read, and if you didn't, then I will be back next week and we'll try again. But I love you guys very much, and I will talk to you then. Bye!